John Eichelsheim for Boating New Zealand magazine. The subject of today's video is the Innovision 656 Explorer. So like the rest of the Innovision range, the 656 Explorer's distinctive styling, which is really the result of function dictating form, is pretty hard to ignore. It certainly gets people's attention. Innovision's boats are defined by their plumb bows, but the bow shape's only part of what makes them perform so well. The boats were designed jointly by Innovision and naval architect Brett Bakewell-White. I'm with Simon Monopria from Innovision Boats. Simon, these boats are really very, very distinctive. They're quite different from the usual run of alloy boats in New Zealand. What was the inspiration?
So I came across a Wally boat in Europe 12, 13, 14 years ago. That had the very distinct plumb bow. It's carbon fibre, 40 foot, and some of them had jet turbines in them, 50 knot plus sort of boats. I happened to lucky enough to go for a run and was very impressed by its performance. And then had a light bulb moment of that this would fix a tin boat. Gave it a go 10 years ago and found out there was more to the hull design than just the plumb bow. It's very important to the design and setting up the entry, but you've got to back up the rest of the plumb bow with a package up the back, which helps the whole dynamic of the hull work effectively without compromising too many things.
So it wasn't an instant success. You had a bit of work, a bit of development.
The first hull was actually really good.
Yep.
Second one was a half a step back. From there was progressively stepping forwards. We kind of learned a quick lesson on the second one, and then we really understood the dynamic of the back half of the boat and really how the chine angle, the chine shape, and the dead rises from back to front and where they needed to be to actually make sure the performance was good on all angles. It was one of the worst angles is at the cross beam.
Yes.
And as you saw today, we're out there in 15, 16 sort of knots with a half metre, maybe 3/4 metre chop, and it had no banging at all.
No banging at all. No.
And I was driving it like I stole it.
So Simon, if you were to sum it up, what would you say set your boats apart from the general run of production aluminium boats in New Zealand?
The big thing is we built to order, so we customise. We can customise certain features like the transom design and the seating options. We can change roof heights to suit the taller gentlemen, seat positions, to give a bit more space at the helm. So we're a lot more
flexible in that sense.
Flexible and more interactive with the client.
But in terms of performance and handling, what sets these boats apart? What sets this boat apart, this particular boat?
This 6.5 from the performance side of things, I compare it to a far bigger boat and a heavier boat of other brands, other manufacturers' brands, just because of the plumb bow, the dynamic of the hull. You just don't get that extreme amount of lift in the front of the bow on the other boats. One of the big things is I've tried in getting these boats airborne, they don't lift their bow up and comes landing on their tail and slap down. They actually lift really level, and then they kiss back down on the water the whole hull, which is great if you like to send it everywhere at 30 plus knots. The dynamic of the hull, also the way it's shaped from the back to the front, because you're really low planing speed, so you can plane it down at 10, 12 knots with the boat quite level. So if you are caught out in some seriously shitty conditions, and you can actually back it off to 12, 13 knots, 14, and have the bow down, and have it doing the work, so you're not copping or hiding, and it's more efficient as well. And
I guess the other great advantage of this style of boat with this type of bow profile is the amount of interior volume that you get. As with every Innovision boat that I've been aboard, this one feels a lot bigger than its nominal length. It's called it a 656, I believe, and it feels more like a 7.5 metre boat or bigger.
Yeah, no, that's just basically with the plumb bow. It's just giving you that extra, probably got extra 3/4 metre of bunk space in the front.
This boat, riding on a braked tandem axle custom aluminium trailer, will be based in Matapori, Northland. It's extremely well equipped, including a cockpit road cover. Innovision's Simon Monoprio measures his boats from the transom platform to the bowsprit, the true length of the boat, but does not include the engine, in this case a Honda 225 horsepower. So while the boat is only a little over 6.5 metres long, from the inside it feels much bigger. The hardtop features a steeply raked windscreen. It's spacious enough without being huge, and upright sides mean there's plenty of shoulder room inside. Seating comprises a pair of upholstered aft-facing seats that fold up to give more cockpit space, and there's a bit of storage under the seat bases as well, plus a pair of super comfortable Shark suspension seats with custom upholstered bolsters. The diamond stitching detailing is a nice touch. Raymarine electronics include an autopilot, a 16-inch hybrid touch MFD, and a Ray 50 VHF radio. Called La Belle Rose, this boat is game rigged with ocean blue outrigger bases and poles, along with 6 stainless steel rod holders, each able to rotate for the perfect rod angle when trolling. There's a live bait tank under the port side transom walkthrough and a couple of transom tuner tubes. And I like the retractable reel tethers as well. They're beside the rod holders. They're a really nice touch. And of course the cage is the logical place to fish from when things are calm. The 656 transom bait station is large and well laid out. There's a huge tackle drawer under the bait board. The transom locker houses the batteries, isolation switches and charger relay. Further forward, a couple of large underfloor lockers with removable PVC bins can be used as kill tanks or to store the catch. There's no need to have a chili bin on board, which takes up deck space. Conditions for our review included some relatively flat water in the lee of Kauai Island and some rather more boisterous seas out wider where a 12 to 15 knot southerly breeze had built up a half metre of chop or so on top of the easterly swell. The Innovision 656 rides like a much bigger boat. With its hull design giving an extra waterline length, it really is a bigger boat than most 6.5 metre models. This is reflected in the ride and handling, which also benefit from the boat's solid construction. The Innovision's hull naturally travels with a level attitude and there's very little bow lift when transitioning onto the plane. The bow slices through the chop and wide chines keep the boat dry. No matter what we did, it was almost impossible to get the hull to slam, nor could we catch a chine. There's also no bow steer and the hull responds well to both engine trim and trim tab inputs. Upwind, trimming the bow down results in a very comfortable ride. Dry too. Holding the bow down with the trim tabs allows you to plane at just 10 to 12 knots, useful should you get caught out in really nasty conditions. We were comfortable and dry running into the sea at 20 knots and running downwind at around 25 knots. Maximum speed in the flatter water was just a hair under 40 knots. The Honda 225 horsepower is pretty economical too. We used about 37 litres during our afternoon with the boat, which included a fair bit of thrashing around for the camera. So whether you like how these boats look or not, they are well designed, well built, and perform like they are a whole size class larger. I think Simon and the team at Innovision Boats could be onto something. John Eichelsheim from Boating New Zealand. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more of these videos, please subscribe to our channel.